Good afternoon, everyone. We are Team Unique. My team members are Miss T. Trotman, Miss D. McKenzie, Miss A. Robert, and your truly L. Cole. Today, we are exploring four key areas: the psychological foundation of visual literacy, explaining how the following 3D teaching aid can be used in the classroom. Explain how to construct and use various types of puppet in the classroom. Examine the characteristic, operation, as well as benefit and limitation of 3D visual aid in the classroom. Thank you. I will now hand you over to my next colleague.
Hello everyone, a pleasant good morning to everyone. I am Ms. Angelina McKenzie, a special education teacher. Today I'll be presenting on the psychological foundation of visual literacy. We're going to be exploring three key psychological theories, and that explains how our brains process visual information and how those theories can help us in our teaching and learning. We're going to go into the interactive session, and I have titled my session, How Our Brain Learns Through Images. Yes, so we're going to be looking at the three key psychological theories, and those theories are the Gestalt theory, dual coding theory, and the cognitive theory of multimedia learning. Now, do you know what the Gestalt theory refers to? Okay, so let me give you some insight. Now, the theorists Mr. Max Bertimore, Mr. Wolfgang Kohler, and Mr. Kurt Hoffack, they would have explained that our brains naturally organize what we see into meaningful patterns instead of separate pictures. So if we look at a whole picture, we'll see the whole meaning of that picture. Let's say we're looking at a tree, right? And it's in a puzzle. Now we're not going to see the tree in parts, even though it's a puzzle and the puzzle puts the picture together, right? We're not going to see that, but we're going to see the entire tree. That's how our brains is going to process it. Yes, so it also helps the learners to recognize the shapes, pictures, and objects easily, right? Let's go into the dual coding theory. Theorist Alan Pavlo says dual coding theory states that people learn and remember information better when words and pictures are presented together, right? So we're going to use both. We're going to have a picture. Let's say we have a picture of a cat, and then we have the word, the cat at the bottom. So in that way now, we'll see that the cat is there and the word cat is there. So that child now, or that learner, is going to say, oh, that's a picture of a cat. And then we'll say, okay, look at the bottom. Let's spell C-A-T, cat. And that child understands what they're looking at. They're looking at the cat, and then they know the word C-A-T. Correct? Yes. Now the third theory, cognitive theory of multimedia learning. Theorist Richard Myers' cognitive theory of learning explains that learners understand information best when visual and words are clear and well organized. Too much of information can be too overwhelming for the learner, right? Or for the brain to even process. So let's say, so I have a box in my hand here, right? You see, it's a whole lot of words, too much, right? Too much of words. Now, with the picture here, with a little bit of information, you see, so we'll know that, okay, this is a balloon pump. But this here now is too much of words, right? So the brain thinking, oh my God, it's too much, right? And for a special needs child, it's going to be too much. But once you show them this with a little information, they will know that, okay, this is a balloon pump, and we'll take the balloons and we'll pump it up here, right? So this is for the cognitive theory of multimedia learning. So good, welcome to my fun and exciting item here that we have. So I'll have two pictures and I'm going to pass it around, and then I will ask you some questions, right? We're going to start with the Gestalt learning, the Gestalt theory first. Good. You had a look at the pictures, and my first question is, what is first? What is a tree? Yes, correct. And what else? Oh, you saw two birds. Yes, there's two birds presented right there on that tree. Good job. What about the other picture? Yes, there's a panda. Correct. And another animal. What does the other animal look like? Yes, it's a cat. Good job. You guys are paying attention. Good job. Now I'm going to pass, for the dual coding theory, I'm going to pass around two pictures. It's going to be four pictures in all. Two pictures alone, and then two pictures with the word. And you're going to tell me what you're seeing there. I'll ask questions. Good. Now what have you seen? And which one is easier to remember? The ones with the words or the one with the pictures? The ones with the pictures, they're easier to remember. Okay. So can you tell me what the pictures were? Yes, it's a picture of an apple and a dog. Correct. But do you know, if you look at the picture with the word, you'll be able to spell the word and understand that D-O-G is dog. Yes. Well, that's correct. All right, good. Now we're going to enter into our cognitive theory of multimedia learning. Let's go into that segment. Now I'm showing you two pictures of a life cycle. One of the pictures have a lot of words, a lot of write-up, and the other one is plain and simple. Now I'm going to ask you, which side is easier? Which one of the picture is easier and why? Yes. Okay, so it's the one with the picture and a little bit of words. Correct. Yeah. I think when I look at it too, I was like, oh my god, what am I looking at here? I feel like I've lost. Yes, so yes, the picture with those simple, well-organized wording was correct. Yes, that is much easier. Alright, it was nice having you here in this fun and interactive session. I will now be closing off, and I hope that you guys would have learned something, because I would have learned something also. And this is what I'll be taking back to my classroom. I will now use the dual coding, right, and also the cognitive. Yes, those two have stayed with me, and the Gestalt one too, but my learners will learn better with the dual coding and the cognitive theory of multimedia learning. So in closing, these three psychological theories show that visual helps us understand, organize, and remember educators. And remember, educators, we can use these principles to create engaging and meaningful learning experiences. Thank you for your attention and your participation. Bye-bye.
Hello, I'm Abiola Roberts, and I'll be explaining the following 3D visual aids that can be used in the classroom. I'm a nursery teacher, and I believe that the diorama, Relia, and mobile are relevant for young learners because that's how they learn, from what they can see, what they can touch, what they can hold, what they can taste, what they can smell. They learn from their senses and from manipulating with hands-on activities rather than abstract learning processes. The first one is the diorama. Diorama is an art of bringing the subject, bringing the lessons alive. And young learners learn stories and learn about their environment by interacting with these miniature 3D models that creates an illusion of the real world. So it's story time, and we have the book Grandma Benab. Do you know what a Benab is? Most of our learners don't know what a Benab is. I can even ask. Show of hands, all of you in town. You passed by the sea outside, you saw the Pegasus Hotel. Did you notice a bird in the head? Right next to there. Sometimes they would have seen it, but they don't know what it was. And showing them a picture doesn't do any justice. So if I create a 3D model, they can see the shape, they can see what material was used to make the Benab. We can talk that its origins from the Amerindian, and you don't have a compositional piece of it there. Or if you're talking about rainforest or solar system, having the miniature model here is better than pictures or video because they can make a connection. Rather than just hearing about it and just talking about it, they can see and they can touch. Right? Another example is the concept of ordinals. Ordinals, I find young children are having difficulties grasping this concept. Despite you would show them a video or take them into the yard for a race, once I would have even used different colored t-shirt for them to identify the position, and all they were excited about was this. So creating the miniature 3D model using 5 animals that we knew on a farm, crossing the food, they were able to identify the sequence and logical order rather than just hearing about first, second, third, fourth, fifth. They were able to identify which animal was which position, right? And it was exciting, it was interactive, and I find that I thought even more by creating the 3D model, the diorama. So the diorama solves the problem by translating in the visual, invisible language fields idea into something visual and touchable, and that's exactly how young learners learn best. Next, we're at Relias. Relias are items found in everyday life used for teaching. According to Chris Somers, it helps to make the lesson more memorable by linking the object to the word or phrase that describes it. It's using the real thing rather than a toy. So we're at the theme and topic, plants. Why use a picture of a plant when you can have a small plant in the classroom? You can ask each child or the parent to send each child with a plant. Then the plant is in their hand, they can get to identify the parts of the plant, and they're seeing the part. They're actually seeing it because it's right there. This is the root, this is the stem, this is the leaf. We can talk about the shape of the leaves, because all the leaves are not the same. The leaves have different color, different texture, different sizes. So all of that are conversational pieces to have the lesson going, you know, and the different, so they can connect. They can make that connection to the real world, and that's what children want. Relias draws on the mind and encourages creativity. It also provides young learners with tangible learning and direct sensory experiences. We're still at plants, and now we're using plants as medicine. I will ask each child to bring a plant to medicine. They have them display there. We can even count how many plants, we can name them. This is the field grass, this is the tisum, this is the daisy, this is the Corilla bush, etc. So we're incorporating other strands, other subject areas. We can count how many different plants and segments we have displayed on the table. We can even take it a step further by going in the kitchen, putting on a pot of water, and boil that fever grass. They would see that the water was clear, now it's green. So we're incorporating science. When you add heat to water, it boils, the color changes, and then that boiled fever grass cools down. I can get them into taste, and you can sample the taste of the like plants, right? So having radios in the class, it offers more language opportunities as well as connection. So I use a picture, and then you can have radios in the classroom. Now we have mobiles. I use mobile as a teaching tool to support visual development and tracking. Young learners are naturally attracted to movements of colors as the element stimulates visual attention, increases engagement, and promotes the development of coordination and other essential motor skills. Now here we're looking at numerals. We can sing the numeral song, and then now we have 1 to 10 hanging in the classroom. So they're able to see the numeral. Also, it's not stagnant because it's hanging. It will change. So we will have at the back side of it the quantities of the object, right? The matching quantities of the object. So we have numeral 1 and there is 1 apple. Numeral 2, 2 apples, and so on. So that will encourage counting for our young learners. Also, for the letter of the week, we're looking at the letter B. We have the formation of the letter B, right? And on the flip side, we have objects that begin with the letter B, right? And this will also help children to recognize letters. Yes, and build vocabulary because I have to identify one object and make a simple sentence using that one object. Right? So mobiles are also inexpensive because we just need construction paper, cardboard, and we have a very engaging, interactive visual aid hanging on our classroom. So in closing, I would like to say 3D models are simple and effective visual aids that make early childhood classroom more engaging and interactive. They capture children's attention, support learning through visual stimulation, and reinforce concepts in a fun and meaningful way.
Hello. Hi. Good evening, guys. Wait, what are these? They're puppets. These are hand puppets. Simple to make by socks or paper bags. You can add features like using yarn or other supplies like his ears and his eyes. And like this little guy here. We would use these hand puppets for, you know what? Yes, we would use them for reading or for shy students that's very shy. So if you're shy, or the guy should say hi to Mr. Puppy. Hi. These are finger puppets, a small fabric shape that can fit over a finger, easy for small children to play and use. It's ideal for phonics and for stories. Rod puppets, fingers attached to a wooden stick or straw. The larger bodies are easy to manipulate by moving the arms, suitable for science presentations or for drama. String puppets are marionettes, puppets with heads and limbs suspended by strings, allowing for realistic movement, and it's very complex to make. This can use for cultural presentation and for catching attention. Shadow puppets, cutout made by stiff paper or black cardboard. It's used for making images behind a white screen. It's excellent for writing or for storytelling. So tell me now, guys, which one of these puppets are you eager to make? Bye!
Good day, everyone. Today I will be talking about the characteristics, operation, benefits, and limitations of 3D visual aids in the classroom. First, let me give you a definition as to what are 3D visual aids. 3D visual aids are teaching materials that have length, width, and height, unlike pictures and charts. They can be touched, handled, and viewed from different angles. For example, we have real things like puppets, we have Relia, dioramas, and mobiles. Now, let me move over into the characteristics. Now, the main characteristics of 3D visual aids are they are basically three-dimensional and they look realistic. Students can actually touch and manipulate these materials. They help learners understand objects that may be too long or too small or too short, or unavailable in real life. They encourage active participation and hands-on learning, as in the operation, basically how they are used. Teachers use 3D visual aids by introducing the object that captures the learner's attention, basically explaining concepts while allowing the learners to observe or manipulate the materials. Teachers also uses this by encouraging learners to ask questions, make observation, and discuss what they see and how they feel about what is happening around them. Now I will go over to the benefits. The benefits. There are many advantages of using the 3D visual aids. They make lessons more interesting, enjoyable, and fun. They improve students' understanding of difficult concepts. They increase student participation and motivation. They help learners remember information for a long time. And they also support different learning styles, especially visual and kinesthetic learners. Now, the limitations to this aspect is that the 3D aids can be expensive. Some of these can be pretty much expensive to buy or to make. They require a lot of extra space, and they can also take time to prepare before an actual person. Well, some models may not show every detail accurately, right? And if there are not enough materials, not every student will get a chance to use them. In conclusion, to the 3D visual aids, these are valuable teaching tools because they make learning practical, engaging, and meaningful. Although they have some limitations, their benefits are pretty much helpful with students' understanding and the concepts that make them important resources in the classroom.
For conclusion, it enhances learning, psychological foundation, and 3D visual, improves students' comprehension and memory retention and engagement, balances challenges, while 3D aids requires time and resources. Careful planning and recycled materials are easy way for limitation. Fosters inclusions. Purposeful integration and interactive tool create rich and student-centered experience such as they support diverse learners. Thank you very much.